John Cena and Randy Orton. Two icons, two rivals, two careers linked to not only a generation, but to WWE history. And this Saturday, they face off for the final time. But before we get to the final match, I am going to help decide who is the greater professional wrestler before we get the one last time at Backlash. So I have 12 categories listed for you to help determine who's the greatest professional wrestler of all time between John Cena and Randy Orton. The categories are on the microphone, in-ring skills, entrance music, characters and gimmicks, legacy, title reigns, big matches, aura, consistency and longevity, finisher, and at number 12, the impact they've had on WWE. Now, this is something completely new I've never done before, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different before the final time we ever see John Cena versus Randy Orton. And if you want more John Cena content, I've done videos about John Cena before, especially the tournament deciding which John Cena shirt is the best. Now, if you enjoy this type of content, leave a like, leave a subscribe, because we're on the road to 10K. Let me in. Now let's decide who's the better professional wrestler. Now the first category is on the microphone, and there's no doubt in my mind that John Cena is one of the greatest talkers in professional wrestling history. It took me a long time to accept it because I was a huge John Cena hater for the longest time. The Rock is my favorite professional wrestler and was always considered one of the greatest mic talkers of all time. John Cena is just better, and I hate that I have to sit here and say that publicly, but it's just what it is. The only people that compete with John Cena on the mic, honestly, is CM Punk and Paul Heyman. Now, that's not to shit on Randy Orton at all. I still think he's very good on the mic. He can cut a good promo. He can mic battle. He can do all of that. He's very good. He has a slower talking pace. He's more deliberate with his words, and I do like that a lot, but there's just no comparison whatsoever between John Cena and Randy Orton when it comes to talking on the microphone. In this category, John Cena wins by an absolute landslide. There's no doubt in my mind that John Cena is a better talker than Randy Orton. Are we kidding? The next category is going to be in-ring skills, and while John Cena can be very good, let's not forget that there has been chants since probably about 2005, 2006 saying John Cena cannot wrestle. And we're still saying that in 2025. Cena is one of those guys that can have a great match, but he can also have a terrible match. He's one of those guys that plays down to his competition, but also can play up depending on who he's competing with. And while that might help of who he's in the ring with, it's just what it is. He's not a guy that's truly going to really elevate you in the ring. He's good, don't get me wrong, but from a technical standpoint, John Cena is not the greatest. Now, Randy Orton, on the other hand, I think is one of the more better technical wrestlers, especially for his size. I think he's incredibly smooth in the ring, and he can really work with anybody, and he can truly elevate talent. But funny enough, when you put the two together, they don't really make much magic. Yes, they are a fantastic rivalry and all that stuff, but they were never on the level of like The Rock and Stone Cold. I don't think they're wrestling soulmates at all. But in terms of skill, I do prefer Randy Orton, and I think he's a better in-ring worker than John Cena, and I do prefer his style. It's a little bit slower paced usually, but I do like that because I feel like every movement that Randy Orton does has true meaning in a match. It's not just doing something just to do it, and that's just what I prefer. So for just in-ring skills, from a technical standpoint especially, give me Randy Orton. Now we're on to the third category, which is entrances. Not music, just entrance presentation. This one I feel like is just really going to come down to what do you prefer. John Cena is a more energetic, a more high, intense, kind of quick paced and big energy when he comes out. One thing that I do like is it's always exciting to see John Cena come out with a new type of shirt, new gear and all that stuff. And it was always fun when it would come out and it would be something different and something exciting. I do like that part a lot. To then top it all off, he's jumping around, he's excited, he's talking to Stu, dapping him up. He's sprinting to the ring, running around the ring, throwing his shirt and hat into the crowd, going absolutely nuts, doing his little signature move. And it's just a big, high-energy entrance. Randy, on the other hand, has always been a bit slower, a bit creepier, more eerie. I'm a huge horror fan. As you can see right behind me, I have Michael Myers here. I got Michael Myers everywhere else. I got him everywhere. I got a freaking tattoo of Michael Myers on me. Like, I love the creepy, the eeriness of it. He's got that slow walk, and especially when he was Bald Randy back in 2009, he was almost like a serial killer. And even today, he has this slow aura walk to the ring. It's awesome. Between the two of them, you could totally make this a tie, but I really don't want to do that, so I'm not going to do it for this one. This is just a preference-based one, so for me, I'm going to pick Randy Orton because I'm going to stick to my guns. I didn't really want to do that at first because I didn't want to upset people, but fuck that. This could also just depend on the day for me. If you ask me tomorrow, I would probably say Cena, but then on Tuesday, I would probably say Randy Orton again, so I can go back and forth with these, but right now, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm saying Randy Orton. Give me Randy Orton just on entrance presentation. And in the next category following this is entrance music. Now, Randy's theme song Voices is iconic. If you are a wrestler and you hear this music, you're screwed. The song Voices fits his character so well, and at first I didn't really like this song that much because I preferred his theme song Burnin' My Light, but obviously he outgrew that theme song, and I think Voices fits him perfectly, and it's now just insanely iconic, especially in WWE. It's creepy, it's eerie, it fits his vibe, it's perfect for Randy Orton. But it is no match for John Cena's theme song, My Time Is Now. It's just not. Because when his music hits and you hear the trumpets playing, you go absolutely ballistic. It doesn't matter if it's 2006 or if it's 2025. It's gonna hit every single time. It's iconic and it's mainstream. And at one point, it was extremely memeable. And if you've never seen the John Cena phone call prank, please go watch that.
Former decorated member of the United States Marine Corps needs your support.
And his name is John Cena!
I'll include it in the link below just so you could see it if you've never seen it before. But as a song, I prefer Randy's, but in terms of what is a better, more iconic song, it's John Cena's theme song, and I can't argue it. I prefer Randy's, but I literally cannot argue this. It's John Cena. Next, we have characters and gimmicks. First, John Cena was the prototype, and eventually he turned into the Dr. Thugonomics, which saved his entire career. If he didn't do that, John Cena would not exist whatsoever. To then kind of being like the C Nation leader, the Chain Gang leader, and then we got into like PG John Cena, Super Cena, and then he was basically PG John Cena up until recently. Yes, he had his edgy moments and stuff like that, but he didn't really change his character much. People were begging for him to turn heel for so long because they were just sick and tired of John Cena being who he is. And then once he became a part-timer, then they kind of pulled back a little bit because they just missed him being in WWE. Generally, he was the same character for about 10 to 15 years. Never really changed much, obviously changing some things because of PG rating and stuff like that. And then he eventually finally turned heel as of this moment right now, which I also did a video on if you want to check that out. We all wanted Cena to turn heel, and then he finally did, and it has been dog shit ever since. But I don't really blame Cena. I blame the higher-ups of just running this whole thing because it's a fucking mess. Randy Orton, on the other hand, he was like the new blood. Then he joined Evolution, became the Legend Killer, which is one of my favorite gimmicks of all time. To then turning into basically bald Randy Orton, the Viper. And then he was the Apex Predator, and then he kind of became like this good guy like later on in life. And now he's just this lovable character that we all love. I'm really enjoying Randy Orton as a babyface right now. It's kind of just an appreciation of how long he's been in WWE. Randy Orton is now just the legend himself. I think Randy has had better characters and better gimmicks, and overall, give me Randy Orton on this one. I just think that Cena has been kind of the same thing for so long. I wouldn't even count his heel turn. Next, we have title reigns, and I'm not talking about how many title reigns because obviously Cena has the record-breaking 17.
Even though Ric Flair has more than 17, they just don't want to acknowledge it.
To Randy Orton's 14. I believe Cena overall has more title reigns, not just world title, but mid-card titles and tag titles reigns, but I'm not talking about that. What I'm really talking about is the impact that they had when they were holding titles, and I always felt like Randy Orton wasn't a great champion. He was always just the big bad heel that was the heel champion just to get beaten over by whoever the next good guy was, whether it was John Cena, Daniel Bryan, or whoever else. And it's not that I'm calling Randy a transitional champion or anything like that. I just feel like when he had the title, it didn't feel as big as it should have. Cena, on the other hand, I felt like had more impact when he was champion. Yes, it was him winning all the time. LOL, Cena wins, Super Cena, all that. And his longest title reign ended simply because John Cena got injured. It wasn't because he got beat. The only person to beat Super Cena was himself, which I think is hilarious. But even in his early days when John Cena was a US champion back in the day, I feel like he had much more impact with the US title than Randy did with the Intercontinental title. And then even in 2015 when John Cena won the US title again, he made that title important. He took it and ran with it, unlike Roman Reigns, who took it as a demotion. So as a champion, the title reigns, who's better at holding the belt and having the title and running with it? It's John Cena. The next category is going to be legacy. This one I think is pretty straightforward. John Cena is the face of WWE. Most people know who John Cena is, even if they never watched wrestling. They have somewhat of an idea of who he is. He is super mainstream. He has the most Make-A-Wishes ever for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He's now entering Hollywood, like he's already in Hollywood doing that thing. He's now become the Hollywood star. So he's all over the place. Randy Orton, on the other hand, while he's the longest tenured superstar right now in WWE, he was always a WWE guy, but he was always usually the bad guy. So the bad guy usually doesn't get the face of the company treatment, so to speak. He's a ring general. I'm sure he's a locker room leader and a guy that a lot of the younger talent go up to and look for advice if they ever needed it and stuff like that. But it's not even close. John Cena is still, to this day, one of the faces of WWE. He is on almost everyone's Mount Rushmore, and you can't even deny it. Even if you don't like John Cena, he's probably on your Mount Rushmore. I don't think there's many people putting Randy Orton on the Mount Rushmore, and if you are a different breed of WWE fan, and I respect it. I like being different. I don't think they're in the same stratosphere. So for legacy purposes, give me John Cena. And I did this for a reason, because the next category I'm going to do is big matches, and big match feel There's a reason why they call him Big Match John. He's had legendary feuds with CM Punk, with AJ Styles, with The Rock, and so many other people. Randy Orton more so has moments in matches versus the big match itself, and it's usually revolved around the RKO. And typically when the lights are brightest, John Cena does perform his best, and I do like that about him. Randy Orton, on the other hand, I don't really know when his lights have been that bright, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of that aspect of it. So for this big matches, give me Big Match John. And in the next category is everybody's favorite new buzzword, aura. So aura means like presence or star power. Since John Cena became that mainstream guy, the face of WWE, every time his music hits, it's a big deal. Especially in the later years when he became a part-timer. When his music hits, the arena, the stadium, wherever they are, absolutely explodes. Time stops when John Cena's trumpets start playing. It absolutely erupts. Randy, over time, has gotten to that place. When his song hits and his music starts playing and the guy, I hear voices in my head. When that happens, the same thing happens. It's like, if you're a wrestler in the ring and you hear voices, you just close your eyes and just say, oh, fuck, here we go. Randy has that aura. He has that slow walk. He comes out, and the best way I can describe it is look at the entrance he did in Bash in Berlin, where he's slow walking. They got the 8K camera on him. The crowd in Berlin is going nuts. They are singing along with his song. It's probably one of my favorite entrances ever. It's just the way it looks. It's just so cool. Both of them just ooze with plus 10 million aura. This is going to be the one. I'm going to give myself one of these. Honestly, give this one a tie because they're both legends in this game. They both have incredible entrances, incredible music, but they're both amazing for different reasons. John Cena's music hits. It's the megastar returning. It's the megastar here. Like, oh shit, here we go. When Randy's music hits, you feel danger. You are afraid. You want to get out of there because shit's about to go down. So for this one, I'm giving them both a point. The next category is consistency and longevity, and both of them came in relatively at the same time. They're from the same OVW class. Both entered WWE back in 2002, and they're still here to this day, which is incredible. But the one thing that I do want to mention is that while Cena was the guy full-time, nonstop for 15 plus years, but then in those later years, like 2015, 2016 is when he started becoming more of a part-timer, kind of going to Hollywood, doing all these other things. So while he's been here for 20 plus years, in the later years, he hasn't been there like he has been. Put that into consideration with now Randy Orton, who's the same guy, consistent for however many years, if not the guy, one of the guys, one of the main pillars of WWE for so long, but he never became that part-timer. He never really became that Hollywood star. He never really did any of that. Yes, he's had injuries, and I think he's had more severe injuries than John Cena. I'm not going to fault him for injuries because it's just, what are you going to do? Because even like the last year and a half where Randy was out because of a back injury, he never went away. He never really became a part-timer. When he was active, he was here and he was full-time. And I respect the hell out of that for Randy Orton, especially now coming back from a back injury and a neck injury. Being 45, 46 years old is incredibly impressive. And I respect the hell out of the both of them. But Randy's consistency and longevity just gives the slight edge over Cena because he never went away. He never became that part-timer. So in this category, give me Randy Orton. The next category is finisher, and I would be really shocked if anybody even argued with me about this. Cena's finisher was the FU, which turned into the attitude adjustment, which is just a simple, basically suplex from the side, versus the RKO, which is one of the most iconic finishers of all time, one of the most famous ones. It's the one that people do to their friends. It's like memeable. You could do all this shit with it. Randy's RKO is incredibly iconic and is probably one of the most famous finishers of all time. In this category, give me Randy Orton. Now we're on to the final round where we're tied at 6-6, and I swear I didn't plan it this way. I'm not doing this on purpose. It's what I have. We are tied at 6-6, and in the final round, I have Impact on WWE. This one I think is quite clear who the winner is. John Cena was the merch mover. He has been the guy well over 15 years. He carried the PG era, which I honestly do respect the shit out of him for because that's a very tough time in WWE. When they switched to that really hardcore PG time, that was a rough time for many people, and he was the guy. The Rock had multiple jokes for him saying his fans are kids. Cena has always been the guy, being the top guy, being that champion. They freaking changed the WWE title for him and made it the premier title for WWE. Cena was the next guy after Stone Cold and The Rock, and for a long while they were having a really hard time finding the next John Cena, and they tried their best to do it with Roman Reigns, with the big dog character, and it fell flat. Randy Orton, on the other hand, was always an important character in WWE. He was always one of the top guys, but he was never the guy. It was very rare that Randy was even a good guy. He was always the top heel. Many times the top heel doesn't get the recognition they deserve. You always need your top good guy, and you always need the top bad guy, because if there's nothing to conquer, then it's not that interesting. So Randy was always the guy, but they don't get the notoriety the face of WWE gets. Unlike Cena, he's not selling that merch. He's not doing all the wishes. He's not doing all that because he was more busy being the bad guy. But he became a veteran. He became a locker room leader. He became all this stuff, but there's no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure most people would agree with me, that in terms of impact on WWE, it's John Cena because he's the mainstream guy. He's making the most money, main eventing all the WrestleManias, or having those big match feels. Put it this way, when The Rock came back to do Once in a Lifetime, because we're not going to talk about Twice in a Lifetime, did he challenge Randy Orton or John Cena? He chose John Cena. John Cena is that guy. They should have made a bigger impact to do that at WrestleMania 41 with Cena and Cody, but they didn't. John Cena has had a much bigger impact on WWE than Randy Orton. But that's not saying that Randy Orton hasn't had a huge impact on WWE. He's a third-generation superstar, a Hall of Famer, a legend, one of the best heels ever, top 15 wrestlers of all time. John Cena is, if not the greatest, one of the greatest superstars of all time. He is the Hulk Hogan. He is Stone Cold Steve Austin. He's The Rock. He's in that category. It's a different stratosphere. Now, this was a lot closer than I expected. Randy Orton is one of the greatest ever. He really is. He's a top 15 of all time, maybe even top 10, depending on who you ask. I love Randy Orton, but John Cena is just a slight above him. John Cena is not my favorite, like by any means, but I have to give props where props are due. And John Cena is widely considered and deservingly considered one of the greatest superstars of all time.